Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming. So I'm Amira. I am potentially, I think, the newest addition to the ESTA UK team, and I'm here with Philad and with Markus Lawrenson to talk a little bit about the European Strings Teachers Association 2023 Cardiff conference. I'm really excited to be hosting this webinar. It will be the first webinar I think I've hosted, and I hope to learn lots about the conference alongside everyone else who's here. So one of the first things that I wanted to talk about and ask about is actually the theme of this year's ESTA conference, which for those of you who've checked out the website and followed the social media and all of those sorts of things will know that it's about celebrating diversity in string teaching. So what I wanted to ask for Phil and for Markus is, why is diversity the theme, and what diverse aspects are there within this year's conference?
Great question. Do you want me to start, or you like to start, Markus?
Sure. Feel free to start. Yeah, I'll follow.
Yeah. Well, I think it's always exciting to remember and recognize what we do when we're teaching and playing string instruments is the range of compositions, the range of repertoire. First of all, almost every country contributes to that repertoire pool everywhere. Male and female composers of all ages, not just Europe, everywhere, worldwide. So that's fascinating. And then you look at the methodologies and all the different schools of playing. And again, that's every continent has something to offer. And then you look at the way children learn these days. Wherever you are, you could be a cello teacher, and you could be a cello teacher in the UK, you could be a cello teacher in Australia and in Hong Kong and in Canada or the Falkland Islands. It doesn't really matter where you are. You're all doing the same kind of thing, but in a different kind of context. So I think that, for me, that's what diversity is in for this conference. It's celebrating all these different aspects of what we all do. That's my answer. What do you think about that, Markus?
Yeah, well, yeah, I completely agree with that, of course. And I mean, the conference, it really celebrates diversity in lots of different ways, I think. So just picking out one of the presenters who I know from being a D'Addario clinician, Nicole Melrose, for example, she'll be presenting on sort of teaching from the heart, which is looking at trauma and how the role music plays with trauma. Obviously, she's done lots of work with children from more difficult backgrounds, so it's picking up sort of techniques that she's discovered and then applying it to string teaching. So it's really amazing how string teaching can really benefit someone's life outside of music as well. So I think that kind of plays into it as well.
Wow, I think that was a really good response. I would actually point out that both Phil and Markus do not know the questions that I am putting up to them. They are completely being put on the spot, and the fact that they've come out with such articulate and relevant responses is absolutely fantastic. I'm really excited to see that this is a theme that ESTA's decided to take on this year, and it really shows like the range of what string teaching can do and is presented within the range within that. I, of course, have done my perusing of the website, and I've scanned through that jam-packed 5-day timetable of content. And I think something that would be really useful for a lot of people that are completely new to ESTA is actually pointing out one or two of the presentations that you would highlight that attendees should look forward to within all of the presentations. I'll let whoever wants to go first go.
Well, I mean, I can carry on. Obviously, I've just mentioned Nicole's
done one.
fantastic presentation, but also particularly interested to see Christian Howe's live in person. I've seen lots of his content online, and I've come across lots of players that obviously know him, have experienced his teaching, and I think it'll be really interesting to see his take on training improvisation and compositional skills. I mean, I know the system he uses is like with cue cards, hand signals, and it actually gets children kind of conducting from the get-go, really engages with them. So I think, for anyone who teaches, that will be really exciting to see his kind of honed, tried and tested techniques, and then taking something from that.
Yeah. And Phil?
Yeah, there's a few. I've got to be careful because you don't want to leave anyone out. But
Yeah.
I'll get into trouble, But a couple I'm going to sort of make a beeline for. I'm a huge Roland fan. I love Joanne May. I'm a huge Roland fan. She's come over and done a couple of summer schools for us, and it's just the way and the understanding that freedom of movement and the way the body works, and I think that's so essential. To string playing. So I love anything she has to say, actually. So thanks, Joanne. You can buy me a drink in the bar for that. The other is the folk aspect and the fiddle music. We've got Boyan coming over, and also we've got Morag Johnson, who is leading a session called Scottish Whispers. So you're able to really, these are workshops. These are so active and interactive. So that excites me, and it's great to go to a conference where you can take your instrument with you, and some of the sessions you can get stuck in. Rather, you can go to some conferences and you just sat there in a chair all day, and it can be a little bit tedious. But this gets you up and about and playing, which is really good. And then there's a couple. I'm looking forward to seeing Andrea Jones, who is I think she runs the undergraduate program at the Welsh College, at the Royal Welsh College. And she's talking about diversity and the challenges that not just Welsh College, but all colleges have when they're equipping people with the necessary wide range of skills you need as a musician and teacher these days. So I think in my day, and I am 114 years old, but in my day, you went and it was pretty narrow what you covered, and these days it's far broader in outlook. So I'm interested in that. I could go on, but then I really would leave somebody out, and I'd be in trouble.
Actually, just off the back of what you were talking about in terms of the different approaches and the wide range of content that string teachers now are being more encouraged and more involved in including within their teaching. What are things that from your experience of teaching that you have now introduced since thinking about things like diversity, or that you think people will introduce to their teaching by virtue of going to this conference?
That's a really good question.
Sorry.
No, there are two things I've done as a result of going to ESTA conferences that I'm quite conscious of, that spring to mind. One is I run a lot of sort of chamber music courses and sort of string orchestras and groups, and it's really encouraged me to commission new music. And I think that's been important. And the beauty of commissioning new music is, who doesn't like, a world premiere? But apart from that, is quite often you're able to send the composer the brief, really quite a tailored brief sometimes, so you can cater for your students in the most appropriate manner. So that's something I like doing, and I've found that a lot of and it tends to be teenage boys want to play things like video game music and things like that. And I'm going, what? But some of it's actually really, really good. And I was lucky enough to record quite a bit of it over the past few years, and sort of got a real feel for it. So it's been good to get composers and friends, usually in exchange for a bottle of nice Burgundy or something, to write something bespoke. So that's how I would sort of answer that, I think. And I was speaking to one of our trustees the other day, it was a while back now, Sarah Drury, and she was saying how she'd been introduced to, is it anime, the Japanese cartoons, and the music that goes with that as well. So, there are so many different things out there. So I think it gives you the confidence to experiment, certainly in my case.
Yeah, you've got me really excited with the mention of anime. I'm a big anime fan. So I'll have to talk to Sarah about that.
Yeah, no, I recommend having a chat with her.
So before joining the ESTA team, I can honestly admit that the only time I'd ever seen the word D'Addario was on the back of strings packages for violins. And I had no idea of the and I had no idea of the wide range and the capacity that D'Addario actually as a company involves themselves with. And I wondered, Markus, if you could talk a little bit about that and why sponsoring or being the main sponsor for ESTA is something that's D'Addario. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, education as a whole is, something we hold very close to our hearts, and we you may be aware of the D'Addario Foundation, which is like the charitable wing of our company. I mean, honestly, it's been more US focused over the years, but now we're actively doing more work outside of the US, obviously, such as sponsoring events like this. Yeah, we really believe in, providing music lessons, helping with that sort of thing. And the foundation also help provide instruments to organizations as well. So it's something we're hoping to extend into Europe more and more. Yeah, so we're just all about supporting the next generation of musicians wherever we can.
And quite smoothly talking about the next generation of musicians, I get the opportunity to talk about students and young people and why or if ESTA is the ESTA 2023 conference is a space for them. What's in it for young people?
It's a no-brainer, really, to be blunt, because we have dozens and dozens of amazing presentations. We have so much expertise in one building for 5 days. It's ridiculous. It's amazing. So why not, as a young teacher, immerse yourself in that? And it's a friendly environment in which to do so. I've always found half of what I've learned is watching what happens in a presentation, and then the rest of what I've learned is in the coffee queue, speaking to everyone and sharing ideas and exchanging views, and testing arguments, so it's that balance. And so I think it's an absolute no-brainer, and there's loads of fun as well. There's concerts, there's a bar. Did I say there was a bar? Yeah. And again, that whole range. You may walk into a presentation and decide, you know what, I don't know what the hell's going on here, or that's not for me. But at least you've dipped your toe in the water and you have an idea of what you're accepting or rejecting. I think that's quite important. And then you may love something, you may want to know more, and that person is there for the rest of the week and you get to chat to them. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I think it's a really great opportunity for young people, not only in gaining skills, but also networking and meeting people. Because I think any of these sorts of spaces and conferences, you're going to meet fantastic people that are potentially going to be lifelong connections that you have, not only people of your own generation, but beyond that. So alongside D'Addario, there are multiple different exhibitors at the conference. And when can we expect to see these different people, and where do we see them? How does it visually come together in a typical day at the ESTA conference?
Well, there's the main exhibition space, which I guess if anyone's not familiar with the Royal Welsh, when you go in, you're presented with this huge open plan area, and that's where you'll see, I guess, most of the exhibitors. So yes, of course, we'll be there, but there'll be other string manufacturers, accessories, publishers, so a whole array of people to meet and talk to. Yeah.
Actually, I've got to say, it's we've all been to IKEA, haven't we? And you've all gone in there and never been able to find your way out unless you passed every single thing. Well, it's a bit like that, to be honest. You as Markus says, there's a massive foyer and it opens up and it travels down through the college. And there's a concert hall on your right and there's the theatre on your left. So to get between the two, you have to walk through all the stalls and stands and exhibitors. And that's where we give all the free teas and coffees. So you get your caffeine fix a couple of times a day in situ. We've also got a dedicated, really big publishers room. So it's great with a number of music shops being, closed over the years and all the rest of it. It's great to have one big room where you can sift through so many different publications, such a wide variety. So there's that as well. Just for organizational reasons, the exhibitors will show on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The half days of Sunday and Thursday, we won't have them there. We're just focusing in on 3 full days.
Ooh, that sounds absolutely fantastic. I'm really excited to be there as well. So this year boasts, I think, 5 concerts within the week, with the likes of Simi Singh and Jennifer Pike. What should people expect of these concerts, and which one are you most looking forward to? But take that with a pinch of salt, because I don't want you to choose favorites.
Well, I mean, I'm bound to say, because I know them and they're great. The Ayub sisters, who'll be performing, and if anyone's not familiar with them, they're obviously Scottish but Egyptian descent. So they play a wide range of music, often mixing styles and involving looping and that sort of thing as well, effects. So yeah, they'll be performing kind of ahead of their UK Arabesque tour. So it'll be kind of like a sneak peek into that. So I'm really, looking forward to that one.
Fantastic. And Phil?
Well, I got to finally put the last piece of jigsaw into the concerts, because we hadn't settled and organized the opening night's concert, the Sunday evening. I'm not going to release the players, but I'm going to release the program, which is the Trout and the Dvorak Bass Quintet. So I'm quite excited about that. I love the Dvorak. It's a hell of a play. Quite frightening to play. So many notes, so high, but I'm really looking forward to see that. I'm looking forward to seeing Simi. I'm looking forward to the local orchestra, because we've got a local youth chamber orchestra coming in as well. So yeah, that's the beauty of being one of the organizers of the event. I'm going to enjoy every concert, because they're the people I want.
Actually, talking about that, organizing the event, what was the process like of choosing performers and presenters and all sorts of things for the conference and putting that all together?
Gosh, a good question. Well, ESTA has an international conference every year. So, and it's a bit like Eurovision Song Contest. It travels around the various different countries. And we put a call for papers out. Gosh, it was sometime 6-7 months ago, and this call for papers was out for about 4 months. And we gave the boundaries of the presentation, so people had to select their theme, their topic. It had to be within the conference theme of celebrating diversity. We wanted a wide range of methodologies and ideas. And we had over 80 submissions, which is quite a lot, actually. And then there's a program committee of 4 people who sat in a dark, smoky room for about for a day, finding the right balance. So making sure that diversity was there, that all the instruments were represented, that the quality was fantastic, and that as many different countries as we could were represented. And by the time you've filtered all those aspects in, you kind of end up with what we've got. So we went about it that way. And also, ESTA's got something like, I don't know, John will correct me, but I think something like 24 branches in Europe. And then there's ESTA in America, and then there's ORSTA in Australia. And we've got presentations from both those countries, and Iceland as well, I believe. So and again, it's just that real mix, eclectic mix. So that's how we go about that. and then we speak very nicely to our sponsor to see if they can help us support many of the concerts and some of the presentations as well. And then I've got to say she's not able to be with us tonight because she's got a concert. But my colleague Liz Goebel has done an amazing amount of work. So she and I have sort of co-produced this with the help of an amazing team around us as well. So it's pretty full on. You probably have to lie down in a dark room on the 7th of April just to recover, but it's really good fun though as well.
Yeah, and I can imagine that both of you have had quite a long time and long experience with ESTA conferences over the past few years. What are some of your best memories from previous conferences? Well, yeah, that's essentially the question. What are your best memories?
Actually, a really good memory I had was actually from last year in Graz, the opening concert, which just kind of blew me away. The students were involved, which was great. And I know, as Phil's already alluded to, there'll be youth orchestra at this year's conference. I think it's great to involve different players, students as well. So yeah, that was great to see. Yeah.
I loved Cremona for obvious reasons. what an amazing, architecturally pleasing place to spend a week in. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed our last conference in 2013, and we had our gala dinner in Christchurch in the Harry Potter Hall. That was that was really something. But I think all the countries that I've been to that put on a conference have had something really, really beautiful memory to take away from it all. And you do come away from all of these conferences with a lovely warm feeling, because you just get to meet. It can be a lonely business teaching. You sometimes don't meet many adults. And if you're lots of one-to-one teaching, it can be quite lonely. And I think to be able to celebrate what you do and with so many like-minded people, it's really quite uplifting. It's good for the soul.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, because this year is going to be my first conference, and being involved with ESTA as a company has already been such a fantastic experience. And then getting to go to the conference will be, I guess, the pinnacle of the entire thing. And I think my question would then be, what advice would you give for anyone going to an ESTA conference for their first time?
Ooh. Plan ahead, I guess. What you really want to see is the obvious, thing. And just go with an open mind, I guess, is an obvious thing to say, really. But yeah, you never know quite what you're going to learn from a presentation. So yeah, go along and just see what there is. But then equally, after the presentations, just you can go up to presenters, you can continue conversations, and if anything you didn't have time to get an answer for, I'm sure all the presenters there will be more than happy to to talk and follow up on anything that they've covered. So yeah.
Awesome.
I think for me it's the conferences are expensive things to do. It's a real investment in yourself, and it does cost money. So what we try to do, what we are doing this year, is any teacher or student 25 years of age and younger gets to come for free. It's as simple as that. It's our way of giving back and trying to do something for the next generation of teachers. So if anybody in this Zoom call is over 25 and they know somebody under 25, then drag them along, because they'll get a free place.